Ruslan Aliyev, me Ülker Esedli, Ayan Garayeva, and Ophelia Talazade. In this presentation, we'll introduce our current work on research analysis till this day, despite the fact that we still continue to work on our paper. And we will highly appreciate your recommendation and comments for our presentation in order to improve our final draft. Let me first indicate our research question. It is that does income inequality drive a positive impact on economic growth? Next, our outline consists of 6 parts, which are introduction and motivation, literature review, data, methodology, results, and conclusion. Now I am going to talk about introduction and motivation and half of literature review. Then I will continue. Let me start. Next. Economic life, which has shown rapid development and change with the effect of factors such as globalization and rapidly advancing technology, has become quite complicated today. In addition to the studies made on the basis of what is to be produced, how and for whom it will be produced in each economy, new and high number of questions have emerged. Distribution is at the top of the problems that arise. Thus, it is seen that the production in the world has increased more than ever and advanced technology are used too. And in turn, the income is shared unequally than ever before. In other words, all individuals in the community can't get the same proportion of income. Clearly, equality in distribution can't be achieved in recent decades. To be considered, sharing the revenue obtained is very important in terms of economic continuity and sustainability. Thus, over the past 3 decades, income inequality and its relationship to GDP growth has been a topic of intense research and debates. Next, since people's quality of life mainly depends on the level of the income earned, the impact of income inequality on economic growth is highly significant to consider. Thus, students are primarily concerned with their own quality of life. However, it is also quite possible that the overall health of the economy and a country's GDP are linked to the level of income inequality in a nation. Therefore, the level of income inequality in a nation has always been an important economic issue for government to address. Next, revealing the true relationship between these two variables will help governments to apply the proper policies. So if the relationship is negative, the problem of income inequality can be solved by increasing economic growth. Here the question appears, to which level of economic growth should be reached? If the relationship is positive, it means that there is a trade-off and society should choose how much it is able to sacrifice for economic development. And next, income inequality and economic growth have been the subject of many theoretical and empirical studies, especially after Kuznets' work in 1959. The seminal study by Kuznets revealed that inequality was a consequence of economic growth. In this respect, inequality increases in the early stage of economic development process before decreasing with further development. In the studies conducted, when the relationship is analyzed under the distinctions such as short and long term or developed and developing countries, obtaining different results show that there is still no consensus on this issue. Thus, still there exists contradiction among scientists whether the effect of income inequality on economic growth is positive, negative, or not significant. In this research, we are going to declare that there is a positive correlation between income inequality and economic growth. We will test our hypothesis through empirical analysis. Now I am moving to literature review. Next. Although there are many studies in the literature that examine the relationship between economic growth and income inequality, the result in papers varies because of different time periods, countries included, methods, and data type used. Next, based on outcomes of various research, it is seen that there are different theories which are divided into 3 classes in terms of general framework. The first is classical approach, which argues that there is a positive correlation. The second is neoclassical approach, which argues that there is no significant correlation. And the last one is the modern approach, which argues that there is a negative correlation. Despite the fact that our paper tries to prove a positive relationship, we should consider all theories in order to support our argument. Let me first start with classical approach. The classical approach establishes a relationship between inequality and disposition tendency, that income inequality has a positive effect on economic growth process. The approach is based on the increase in marginal saving trend as well as increases through the savings function. In this case, resources are transferred to individuals with a high marginal disposition tendency and total savings increases gradually. Next, therefore, economic growth is correlated with the accumulation of capital. The fact that the marginal disposition tendency on the rich individuals is higher than that of the poor individuals also indicates that unequal income economies are growing faster than equal countries. Now, Ayan is going to talk about the other half of literature review.
Okay. In the Barrow study, research the growth inequality relationship using panel, cross-sectional, and time series data from 1960s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. He found out that actually there is no strong relationship between these variables. But after dividing countries into two categories with high and low income, he found out that in countries with a relatively low income, there is a negative relationship, while in countries with high income, there is a positive relationship. Next. Okay. In another study, Forbes revealed a positive relationship between growth and equality for a short and long run. He said that results may differ for developing countries due to the lack of the data. The author argued that more precise estimators could be obtained if to consider factors specific to the country, such as corruption, quality of education, public spending on education and health. In order to increase the significance of regressors, country-specific and time-specific dummy variables were included. The coefficients of estimators were positive and significant. In the classical approach, it's claimed that inequality with the increase of inequality, economic growth also increases. But the neoclassical approach rejects this. Economists who support classical approach, they reject regressive agent paradigm, which is dominant in the field of macroeconomics, while neoclassical supporters, they reject heterogeneity relationship in the macroeconomic analysis. As we see, there is different studies have different results and approaches. Next, data. In this study, we analyzed the impact of income inequality on economic growth by using panel data from the year 2010 until 2018. The data is retrieved from the World Bank. Data includes 2,370 observations from 264 countries. The dependent variables GDP growth in percentage as the most accepted measurement of economic growth, as an independent variable as well Gini, which measures income inequality across many countries. Unemployment, which is correlated with Gini and can affect growth. Savings, because it can affect in the long run. Increased savings mean capital accumulation, which can affect economic growth. Fertility rate, as it's considered that countries with a lower fertility rate have higher economic growth. Taxation was included because, according to economists, higher taxation means increasing an income inequality. GDP per capita included because it's directly correlated with GDP growth. Literacy rate, because more educated people have higher salary. It's also a rise income inequality. And developed dummy variable was included. It's equal to 1 for developed countries and 0 to the other. Now, Ophelia will continue.
Thank you, Ayam. So we use panel data because it gives more informative data and efficiently detects effects, and there is less collinearity among variables. As you can see from the slide that we have summed up all our variables, and their mean values, minimum and maximum amounts are shown on the slide. And next, For methodology, we have to consider the perfect collinearity assumption. We can see this from this f value, p values of the variables which are significant. We can also use the VIF test on theta, which is less than 5, and we can say that there is no multicollinearity between variables we use in our regression. And also to check the correlation between unobserved factor and independent variables, we use Hausman test, where null hypothesis is random effect and alternative is fixed effect. And by using this test, we can conclude that we have to use random effect model. And moreover, therefore, we have to make sure that our variables are homoscedastic. In order to check this, we have to use a Bush-Pagan test. And if there is a heteroscedasticity, and surely there is a serial correlation, we have to use a robust command in stata, and we can get our homoscedastic result. And furthermore, you can see our multiple linear regression, where, as my teammate mentioned, GDP growth as our dependent variable. Main independent variable is Gini, and then others are GDP per capita, gross savings, unemployment tax, and literacy rate. Next slide, you can see our DBIF mean value, which is 1.37, and this is less. Since it is less than 5, we can surely say that there is no multicollinearity. Next, here, so you can see our multiple linear regression variables regression with the random effect. So the model accounts for 99% of variation between separate panel units, 97 variation within the panel units. And if we check the Gini coefficient here, we can see that 0.005% effect on the GDP is shown, which is caused by the Gini, and but it is very insignificant, and also we can see that literacy rate, unemployment rate, and GDP per capita has actually significant, statistically significant effect on GDP growth. And but I forgot to mention that since our major goal was to check what's relationship between Gini and the GDP growth rate has, we firstly regressed simple linear regression, and we gain from the regression that actually our Gini coefficient is 0.08. And this is significantly, statistically significant, because p-value is 0.00, less than 1%. And next, so our findings are that actually GDP growth and Gini has positive effect, and but it is insignificant. Then only unemployment rate has negative effect on GDP growth, but others have the positive effect, despite the fact that only 3 of them is statistically significant. And in order to test this we can take into consideration this insignificant variables by using F test to see their joint significance on dependent variable. And to conclude, we have to take into consideration that there is lack of data on Gini, I mean the income inequality from the data, and with the aspects of uncertainty, it seems that further investigation into this relationship is required. More comprehensive and longer-term data will continue to become available, and with it, a more thorough understanding of the relationship will be possible. And next slide, you see our reference list, and thank you for your attention.